Ambassador Taiwan looked out the viewport as the human ship approached the massive space station. The Galactic Assembly headquarters was a wonder of engineering, a spinning wheel of metal and light that housed representatives from over 200 alien species. Quite a sight, isn't it? Taiwan said, adjusting his formal diplomatic uniform. Zhu, his security chief, did not share his excitement. Her eyes scanned the alien ships that patrolled around the station. As former Earth military, she trusted her instincts. Something felt wrong. Too many patrol ships, she said. This doesn't look like a welcome party. The human ship docked, and Taiwan led the small team from Earth into the station. This was humanity's big moment. First official contact with the galactic community. After decades of distant observations and indirect communication, Earth had finally been invited to send representatives. But as they walked through the main concourse, Taiwan noticed the reactions. Aliens of all shapes and sizes stepped back, creating distance. Some small, furry creatures actually ran away. Others, with scales and sharp teeth, watched them with narrow eyes. Ambassador, Zhu whispered, "They're afraid of us." An assembly official, a tall blue being with 4 arms, led them to their quarters. The alien spoke through a translation device. "The assembly session will begin in 6 hours. Please remain in your assigned area until then." "Is that standard procedure?" Taiwan asked. The blue alien's upper arms twitched. "For Deathworlders, yes. Deathworlders." Zhu stepped forward. "What does that mean?" "Your planet, Earth. It is classified as a death world. High gravity, extreme temperature variations, dangerous wildlife, and toxic substances in abundance. Species that evolve on such worlds are concerning to many assembly members." After the official left, Taiwan's team gathered in their quarters. "They see us as monsters," said Doyun, their science officer. He was reviewing data on his tablet. "According to these files, most inhabited worlds in the galaxy are paradise planets compared to Earth. Their gravity is lower, their weather is mild, and their animals aren't very dangerous." A knock at their door surprised them. Zhu checked the security screen and saw a small alien waiting outside. It had purple fur and large eyes that reminded her of a deer. "Should I let it in?" she asked Taiwan. The ambassador nodded. "We're here to make friends." The small alien entered nervously. It wore a simple robe with an emblem that marked it as a junior diplomat. "I am Vex of the Niveri," it said through its translator. "I came to warn you." "Warn us about what?" Taiwan asked. "The Krex Imperium has been studying your species for decades. They are very interested in humans." "Is that bad?" asked Doyun. Vex's large eyes blinked rapidly. "The Krex are the dominant power in this sector. They are a coalition of predator species who rule through force. When they show interest in a species, it never ends well." "Why us?" Zhu asked. "You are predators who think like prey. You have the physical capabilities of hunters. Endurance, tool use, pack coordination. But you also build societies based on cooperation rather than dominance. The Krex find this fascinating and disturbing." Vex pulled out a small device and showed them images of large reptilian aliens in military uniforms. "These are the Krex leaders who will be at tomorrow's session. They will oppose your membership in the assembly. They claim humans are too dangerous to join galactic society." Taiwan frowned. "That seems unfair. We've come in peace." "There is more," Vex said, lowering its voice. "My people have intercepted communications. The Krex have been collecting human genetic material from your outposts and research stations. We don't know why, but they have been doing this for years." Zhu's hand moved to her sidearm. "You're saying they've been spying on us?" "Worse," said Vex. "I believe they have been experimenting with your DNA." A loud announcement echoed through the station, causing Vex to jump. "I must go," the alien said. "Be careful at the assembly. The Krex have many allies." After Vex left, Taiwan looked at his team's worried faces. Our first day in space, and we've already got enemies, Zhu said. Not enemies, Taiwan corrected. Just a complicated diplomatic situation. Dohyun looked up from his tablet with worry in his eyes. If they've been collecting our DNA for experiments, it's more than diplomatic. What could they want with human genetic material? None of them had an answer, but all felt the weight of the question as the station continued its slow spin among the stars. Dohyun checked his disguise one more time. The holographic projector made him look like a maintenance worker from one of the smaller Krek spatial species. His heart pounded as he approached the research facility on the outer rim of Krek's territory. Security scan ahead, Juwoo's voice said through his hidden earpiece. She was monitoring his progress from their ship hidden in an asteroid field nearby. Remember your cover story. The Krek's guard at the checkpoint was twice Dohyun's size, with scales that shimmered green and gold in the artificial light. Sharp teeth showed when he spoke. Purpose of visit? The guard asked. Air system maintenance, Dohyun replied, showing the fake work order they had created. Section 12 has reported poor oxygen levels. The guard looked at the order, then at Dohyun. For a terrible moment, Dohyun thought his cover was blown. Then the guard nodded and waved him through. Once inside, Dohyun followed the map Vex had provided. The Navari had friends everywhere, even in Krek's facilities. He found his way to a service tunnel that led to the restricted section of the research center. I'm in, he whispered to Juwoo. No alarms yet. The service tunnel ended at a maintenance panel. Dohyun opened it and slipped into a dimly lit hallway. Signs in the Krek's language marked various labs. He didn't need to read them. He was looking for Lab 7, which Vex had identified as the center of the mysterious research. The door to Lab 7 required a security card. Dohyun pulled out the card they had stolen from a drunk Krek scientist 3 days ago and held his breath as he swiped it. The door slid open. What he saw inside froze him in place. The large room was filled with rows of tubes. Each tube contained a floating human body. By all the stars, he whispered. What is it? Juwoo asked in his ear. What do you see? Humans, Dohyun said. Dozens of them. In growth tubes. He stepped closer to examine the nearest tube. The human inside looked young, maybe 20 years old. Male. Perfectly formed, but with strange implants visible under the skin. They're clones, he realized. They're growing human clones. A computer terminal nearby was active. Dohyun plugged in the data drive they had brought and started copying files. Hurry, Juwoo urged. Your window is closing. As the files transferred, Dohyun moved deeper into the lab. Beyond the first room was another, larger space. Here, the clones were awake. Through a viewing window, he could see human figures being put through combat training. They moved with incredible speed and precision, fighting against Krek's trainers twice their size. They're making soldiers, he told Juwoo. Human soldiers, but enhanced somehow. The next room made his blood run cold. Here, scientists were performing surgery on conscious clones. The humans were strapped to tables, screaming as the Kreks implanted devices into their bodies and brains. They're not just cloning us, Dohyun said, fighting back nausea. They're turning us into weapons. A sudden alarm made him jump. Red lights flashed through the lab. Your cover's blown, Juwoo said urgently. Get out now. Dohyun grabbed the data drive and ran for the exit. As he reached the hallway, a shot hit the wall beside him. He turned to see 2 Krek's guards running toward him, weapons raised. He fired back with his concealed pistol, hitting one guard in the shoulder. The other returned fire. Searing pain tore through Dohyun's side as the energy blast grazed him. I'm hit, he gasped as he stumbled down the corridor. Keep moving, Juwoo commanded. The exit is 3 turns ahead. Dohyun ran, one hand pressed to his bleeding side. Behind him, he could hear more guards joining the chase. He turned a corner and saw the maintenance panel ahead. He dove through it just as more shots hit the wall. Crawling through the service tunnel, He could hear the alarm blaring throughout the facility. When he finally reached the landing pad, his small ship was waiting with engines running. He collapsed into the pilot's seat as the door sealed behind him. "Go," he told the ship's computer. "Maximum speed." As the ship shot away from the facility, Do-hyun looked at the data drive in his bloody hand. "We have proof now," he told Ju over the comm. "The Kreks are creating an army of human clones, and if we don't stop them, they'll use our own strength against us." The ship jumped to light speed, carrying its wounded pilot and the terrible truth back toward Earth. Commander Sunny stood at the head of the long table in Earth's Global Defense Council chamber. Her uniform was crisp, but her eyes showed she hadn't slept in days. Around the table sat 20 of Earth's most powerful leaders. "The evidence is clear," she said, pointing to the large screen behind her. It showed images taken from Do-hyun's data drive. "The Kreks Imperium has created over 10,000 human clones already. They are building an army using our DNA." One of the council members, an older man with gray hair, shook his head. "How did they get so much human genetic material without us knowing?" He clicked to the next image. It showed a list of incidents dating back 15 years. "Remember the attack on our Mars research station 5 years ago? We thought it was a meteor strike. It wasn't. The Kreks were taking samples. Same with the missing science team on Europa. The lost colony ship near Alpha Centauri. All Kreks operations." The room fell silent as the leaders took in this information. "What about Ambassador Taiwan?" asked a woman in a blue uniform. "Has he made any progress with the Galactic Assembly?" Sun-hee's face darkened. "The Assembly remains divided. Many species fear the Kreks too much to stand against them. Others see humans as the greater threat. Only the Navari have openly supported us." She showed them a new video. It displayed human clones in combat. They moved with incredible speed, breaking through walls and lifting objects no normal human could move. The Kreks are enhancing these clones, making them stronger, faster, and more deadly than any natural human. And they are removing parts of the brain that control empathy and moral judgment. They're creating perfect killers. "For what purpose?" asked another council member. "To attack us." "Not just us," Sunny replied. "According to intelligence from our Navari allies, the Kreks plan to use these human clone soldiers to conquer less advanced worlds. Worlds that haven't developed space travel yet." She clicked to an image of a beautiful green planet. "This is Elora. Its people have technology similar to our 19th century. The Kreks plan to invade using human clones as shock troops. When the dust settles, the galaxy won't blame the Kreks. They'll blame humans. We'll be seen as violent monsters who attack innocent worlds." The council room erupted in angry voices. Sun-hee waited for them to quiet down. "We have only one choice," she said firmly. "We must stop this now, before the Kreks can use these clones. We must declare war on the Kreks Imperium." The room fell silent again. War with an alien empire was something from science fiction, not reality. Until now. "The Kreks have technology centuries ahead of ours," said the gray-haired man. "How can we possibly win?" A new voice answered. It was Admiral Jinwoo, who had been standing quietly at the back of the room. "The Kreks chose humans for a reason," he said. "They see something in us that scares them, something they want to control and use. Our adaptability, our endurance, our will to survive against all odds." He walked to the front of the room and stood beside Sunny. "Yes, they have better ships, better weapons, but we have something they don't understand, something they can't clone." "And what's that?" asked the woman in blue. "The human spirit," Jinwoo replied. "We evolved on a death world, as they call it. Every step of our evolution was a fight for survival. That's in our DNA, yes, but it's also in our history, our culture, our very souls." Sun-hee nodded and turned to the council. "We need a unanimous vote. Earth must stand together." One by one, the council members voted. When the last vote was cast, the decision was clear. "It's decided then, son," he said. "As of this moment, Earth is at war with the Krex Imperium." Outside the council chambers, the news spread quickly. Across Earth, humans looked to the stars with new eyes. The universe had suddenly become a much more dangerous place, and humanity was about to show the galaxy exactly what a species from a death world could do when threatened. Admiral Jinwoo stood on the bridge of the Earth ship Defiance. Through the main view screen, he watched as 30 human warships moved into formation. They were the best Earth could build, sleek, fast, and armed with newly developed weapons. But compared to Krex battle cruisers, they were small and weak. "All ships report ready, Admiral," said his second-in-command. Jinwoo nodded. "Send the signal. Operation Shadow Strike begins now." The human fleet jumped into faster-than-light travel, using routes provided by their Navari allies. These paths would take them deep into Krex territory, to a shipyard where new warships were being built. "The Krex expect us to attack from the front," Jinwoo told his officers, "to challenge them directly. That's what predators do. But we're not just predators. We're survivors. We strike where they're weak, then disappear." When the fleet emerged from light speed, the Krex shipyard lay before them. Massive half-built warships floated in space, surrounded by worker vessels. The human ships attacked immediately, firing missiles at the construction platforms. Their scrambling defenders called out the sensor officer. 3 Krex cruisers moving to intercept. "As expected," said Jinwoo calmly. "All ships execute pattern Delta." The human fleet split into smaller groups. Instead of forming a battle line as the Krex expected, they scattered in different directions. The Krex ships, larger and less agile, couldn't pursue them all. "They're confused," Jinwoo said with satisfaction. "Now hit the secondary targets." Human ships darted between the massive Krex vessels, firing at fuel depots and power stations. The Krex commanders tried to coordinate a response, but the humans moved too quickly, changing direction in ways the Krex tactical computers couldn't predict. Within an hour, the shipyard was in ruins. The human fleet regrouped and jumped away before Krex reinforcements could arrive. "First blood to us," Jinwoo said quietly. "But this is just the beginning." While the space battle raged, Commander Minji led her Special Forces team to a different target, a Krex facility on a small moon. Intelligence suggested it was a major clone production center. "Team 1 in position," she whispered into her comm unit. Her soldiers wore the newest stealth armor, designed to hide from Krex sensors. "Team 2 ready," came the response. "Execute," Minji ordered. The human soldiers moved with practiced precision. They disabled the outer defenses without raising alarms, then entered the facility through maintenance tunnels. When they reached the central chamber, Minji paused. Inside were rows of stasis pods, each containing a human clone. Hundreds of them. "Set the charges," she told her team. "We'll destroy the facility." "Wait," said one of her soldiers, looking at a control panel. "These clones are alive and conscious. They're just paralyzed." Minji hesitated. The mission called for destroying the facility and all the clones. But looking at the pods, she saw faces that could be brothers, sisters, friends. "Change of plans," she decided. "We're taking them with us. All of them." "How?" "Disable the paralysis drugs. If they're conscious, they can walk out." Her team worked quickly to hack the Krex systems. One by one, the stasis pods opened. The clones inside looked confused and afraid. One male clone stepped forward. He had a surgical scar on his temple where Krex doctors had worked on his brain. "Who are you?" he asked Minji. "I'm human," she answered. "Like you were meant to be." "I am Hyun," he said. "That is the name I gave myself in my mind, when they thought I was just following orders." Minji nodded. "We need to move fast. Hyun, can you help get the others ready?" Hyun turned to the other clones. "These are our originals. They've come to free us." The clones looked uncertain. One female clone spoke up. "The Krex told us humans are violent and dangerous. that we were made to be better. The Kreks lied, Minji said. They made you to be weapons, not people. We can show you the truth, but right now we need to leave before more Kreks arrive. Hyun straightened his shoulders. I will come with you, and I will help convince the others. Within minutes, hundreds of clones were following Minji's team through the facility. They moved toward the landing area where human ships waited. As the last group boarded, Kreks alarms finally sounded, but it was too late. The ships lifted off, carrying their liberated cargo to safety. Mission accomplished, Minji reported to Earth Command. But we've changed the game. We're bringing home over 300 human clones. In his ship light years away, Admiral Jinwoo received the news with mixed feelings. This was a victory, but also a complication. What would they do with hundreds of clones created to be their enemies? Dr. Seojin stood in her laboratory, looking at the data on her screens. For weeks, she had studied the rescued clones. What she found troubled her deeply. The Kreks modifications are more advanced than we thought, she told the military officers gathered in her lab. Commander Sunhee and Admiral Jinwoo listened carefully as she explained. The clones have enhanced muscles, denser bones, and improved neural pathways. But the worst part is here. She pointed to a brain scan. The Kreks removed parts of the brain that control empathy and fear. They created perfect soldiers who feel no pain, no remorse, and no fear of death. But the clones we rescued seem normal, Sunhee said. Hyun and the others are working with us now. Those were early models, Seojin explained. Based on the data we recovered, the Kreks have created new versions. They call them the Elite Series, and they've made millions of them. She showed them a video of elite clones in action. They moved with impossible speed, breaking through concrete walls with their bare hands. They continued fighting even with severe injuries. Yesterday, the Kreks deployed the first elite units, Admiral Jinwoo said grimly. They destroyed 3 of our outposts. None of our soldiers survived. How can we fight against that? Asked Sunny. They're using our own strength against us, but enhanced to levels we can't match. Dr. Seojin took a deep breath. I may have a solution, but it's dangerous and controversial. She pulled up a new file on her screen. This is Project Primal. For years, I've studied human DNA, particularly the dormant sections. Most people don't realize that much of our DNA is inactive, remnants from our evolutionary past. Images of ancient human ancestors appeared on the screen. Our earliest human ancestors survived in a world of deadly predators. They developed instincts and abilities that modern humans no longer need. But those patterns are still in our DNA, just dormant. What are you suggesting? Jinwoo asked. I can activate those dormant sections, Seojin said. Awaken the primal survivor that lies within human DNA. The result would be enhanced strength, speed, sensory perception, and combat instincts that rival or exceed what the Kreks have engineered. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. You're talking about changing humans at a genetic level, Sunhee said, making us into something else. Not something else, Seojin corrected. Something we once were. Our most primal selves. The apex predator that survived on a death world. Is it safe? Asked Jinwoo. Seojin shook her head. No. The process would be painful. And there are risks. The primal instincts might overwhelm modern consciousness. There could be uncontrolled aggression, difficulty returning to normal society. In other words, we'd be creating our own monsters, Sunhee said. Perhaps, Seojin admitted, but monsters who fight for us, not against us. The door to the lab slid open. A man in a captain's uniform entered. His face was scared, his eyes haunted. I volunteer, he said. Captain Yunho, Jinwoo acknowledged. You weren't invited to this meeting. I heard enough, Yunho replied. My entire squad was killed by those clone soldiers yesterday. I was the only survivor. His voice broke slightly. I watched my friends die while those things just kept coming. no matter how many times we shot them. He stepped forward. If there's a way to fight them, I want it, whatever the risk. Seojin looked at the captain with concern. You understand what this means. The process would change you at a fundamental level. I understand, Yunho said firmly. And I accept. More soldiers entered the room behind Yunho. All had the same determined look. We volunteer too, said a female sergeant. We've all lost people to those clone soldiers. Sunhee looked at Jinwoo, then at Seojin. How soon could you begin? The process is ready, Seojin answered. We could start today. Then do it, Sunhee ordered. But start with a small group, Captain Yunho and 5 others. We need to see the results before we expand the program. Yunho nodded, his face set with grim determination. When do we start? Right now, Seojin said, leading him toward a sealed door marked with warning signs. But I warn you again, once we awaken what's dormant in your DNA, there may be no going back to who you were before. The man I was died with my squad, Yunho replied. I'm ready to become what humanity needs me to be. The door closed behind them, sealing Yunho and the other volunteers inside with Dr. Seojin. Project Primal had begun. Hyun stood in the conference room on Earth's main space station. Around him were 20 other liberated clones who had proven their loyalty to humanity. On the large screen before them was an image that made Hyun's blood run cold. This is Facility 0, he told the human officers present. The main clone storage complex in Krek space. The image showed a massive station built into an asteroid. It looked like a metal spider with long arms extending from a central hub. Based on the data we've gathered from rescued clones, we believe there are over 10 million human clones stored there, Hyun continued. Most are in stasis pods, waiting to be activated when needed. Admiral Jinwoo studied the image. 10 million. That's more than all our military forces combined. And each one has been enhanced to be stronger and faster than normal humans, added Hyun. If the Kreks deploy them all at once, Earth won't survive. Can we destroy the facility? Commander Sunny asked. Hyun shook his head. It's too well defended. Any attack force large enough to breach its defenses would be detected long before it arrived. Then what do you suggest? Jinwoo asked. Hyun looked at the human leaders with determination. We don't destroy them. We free them. Turn them against the Kreks. The room fell silent. It was Engineer Jinsu who broke the silence. I think I can help with that, he said, stepping forward. Jinsu was young for his position, but brilliant with technology. Dr. Seojin's primal activation process gave me an idea. He pulled up a diagram on his tablet. All clones have neural implants that the Kreks use to control them. But these implants also connect them to each other and to the Kreks network. If we can send a signal through that network, we could wake them all at once, Hyun finished. But waking them isn't enough. The Kreks' conditioning is strong. Most will still follow their programming. That's where Dr. Seojin's work comes in, Jinsu explained. I've modified the primal activation process. It won't create full primals, but it will trigger enough of the dormant human DNA to override the Kreks' conditioning. He showed them simulations on his tablet. The signal will restore their free will. They'll remember they're human. And then? Sunhee asked. Then they'll have a choice, Hyun said. Fight for the beings who created them as slaves, or fight for their own freedom. The plan took shape quickly. A small team would infiltrate Facility 0. Hyun would lead, along with 5 other trusted clones. They would be supported by a special team of humans led by Commander Minji. Once inside, Hyun explained, we'll reach the central control hub. From there, Jinsu can transmit the signal to all clone facilities in Krek space. 2 weeks later, a small ship drifted toward Facility 0. It looked like a Krek's supply vessel, but inside were Hyun and his team. Approaching Docking Bay 3, Minji reported from the pilot's seat. She wore a holographic disguise that made her appear as a Krek's pilot. Identification codes transmitted, Jinsu added. He sat surrounded by technical equipment, his fingers moving quickly over multiple screens. The facility's automated systems scanned their ship. Hyun held his breath. If the fake codes didn't work. Codes accepted, Jinsu said with relief. We're cleared to dock. The ship glided into the massive hangar bay. As they docked, Hyun looked out at the facility. Hundreds of Kreks moved about, overseeing operations. None of them knew what was coming. Remember, Hyun told his team as they prepared to disembark, move with confidence. Act like you belong here. The Kreks expect clones to be obedient and efficient. They left the ship in small groups, each heading to different areas of the facility. Hyun, Minji, and Jinsu headed for the central hub. Security is heaviest near the control center, Hyun warned as they approached a checkpoint. Follow my lead. He stepped up to the Krek's guard, keeping his eyes down as conditioned clones would do. The guard barely looked at him, waving him through with bored indifference. Once past the checkpoint, they moved more quickly. The control center was just ahead. 2 minutes until the next shift change, Minji said, checking her watch. We move then. When the moment came, they slipped into the control room. 2 Krek's technicians turned in surprise. Minji moved with lightning speed, neutralizing them before they could raise an alarm. I need 3 minutes, Jinsu said, connecting his equipment to the Krek systems. Make it fast, Hyun replied, watching the door. Someone will check in soon. Jinsu worked frantically, bypassing security protocols and uploading his modified primal activation signal. Done, he announced. Transmitting now. The Great Hall of the Galactic Assembly buzzed with tension. Hundreds of alien species had gathered for this emergency session. At the center of the hall stood 2 platforms, one for each side of the growing conflict. Ambassador Tadawon stood on one platform, representing Earth. He wore a simple blue uniform with Earth's new symbol, a human hand reaching toward stars. Behind him stood Juwu, his security chief, always watchful. On the other platform stood the Krek's delegation, 3 tall reptilian figures in military uniforms. Their scales shimmered with metallic decorations showing their high rank. The assembly leader, a tall blue being, called for order. This emergency session will address the conflict between Earth and the Krek's Imperium, which now threatens the peace of our entire sector, the leader announced. Both sides will present their case. The Krek's speaker stepped forward, his voice deep and powerful. The humans have proven exactly what we feared, he said. They are violent deathworlders who cannot be trusted. They have created monstrous super soldiers they call primals, beasts with human intelligence but animal instincts. They have attacked peaceful Krek's worlds and destroyed our research facilities. Images appeared in the air above the hall, showing primal soldiers in combat. The assembly members murmured in fear as they watched Captain Yunho tear through metal barriers with his bare hands. We acted only to protect the galaxy from these dangerous creatures, the Kreks continued. Yes, we studied humans. Yes, we created controlled versions that could be safely utilized. But we did so for the greater good. When the Kreks finished, Taiwan stepped forward. His voice was calm but firm. The Kreks speak of protection, but they planned conquest, he said. They stole human genetic material without permission. They created millions of human clones to use as weapons against innocent worlds. New images appeared, showing clone production facilities and Krek's battle plans for invading non-spacefaring planets. We developed the primal program only after the Kreks attacked us with our own cloned DNA, Taiwan continued. We did not start this conflict, but we will finish it. The assembly erupted in shouted questions and arguments. Species took sides based on their own interests and fears. A small purple-furred Niveri representative stepped into the center of the hall. The humans speak truth, the Niveri said. My people have observed the Kreks for generations. They have always used stronger species to dominate weaker ones. Now they sought to use humans as their new weapons. Another alien, a massive insectoid creature, clicked forward. The humans are too dangerous, it said. Their primals prove they are barely civilized. They should be contained on their homeworld for the safety of all. The debate continued for hours. The assembly divided into three main groups: those who supported Earth, those who backed the Kreks, and those who feared both sides. Finally, an ancient species representative came forward. The elders were rarely seen at assembly meetings, but their wisdom was respected by all. "I have watched many wars," the elder said, its voice thin but commanding. "This one could destroy more than just the combatants." The hall fell silent. "I propose a compromise," the elder continued. "Earth must recall its primal soldiers and cease creating more. The Kreks must free all remaining clones and destroy all human genetic material in their possession. Both sides must accept assembly monitoring to ensure compliance." The Kreks representatives hissed in anger. "The clones are our property, created with our technology." "No sentient being can be property," Taiwan countered. "The clones were made from human DNA, against our will. They deserve freedom to choose their own path." The debate grew heated again until the assembly leader called for a vote. "The elders' proposal seems the only path to peace," the leader said. "All member species will now vote." As the voting began, Taiwan received an urgent message from Admiral Jinwu. "Tell the assembly it may be too late for compromise." The message read, "The clone rebellion has spread to 30 Kreks worlds, and our fleet, along with Him's clone forces, is preparing to attack the Kreks' homeworld. This ends now." Taiwan looked up at the voting display. The assembly was narrowly supporting the elders' compromise. But would it matter? The war had taken on a life of its own. The Kreks had created weapons they couldn't control. And humans had awakened something primal that might not easily be put back to sleep. The final battle was coming, regardless of what the assembly decided. The Kreks' homeworld hung in space like a jewel, a massive planet with golden clouds and 3 small moons. Around it orbited the greatest fleet the Kreks Imperium had ever assembled. Hundreds of warships formed a defensive ring that no enemy had ever broken. Admiral Jinwu stood on the bridge of the Defiance, looking at the tactical display. The human fleet was outnumbered 5-1. "All ships report ready," his second-in-command said. Jinwu nodded. "And our special allies. Hyun's clone ships are in position. They're waiting for your signal. And Captain, you know, the primal dropships are ready. They're eager to begin." Jinwu took a deep breath. This would be the decisive battle. Either humanity would win its freedom today, or the Kreks would crush them once and for all. "Begin the attack," he ordered. Pattern Omega. The human fleet surged forward, but instead of attacking in groups as the Kreks expected, each ship flew in a seemingly random path. The Kreks commanders tried to predict their movements, but the human captains changed course in ways that made no logical sense. "They're confused," Jinwu said with satisfaction. "Now, Hyun." From behind one of the moons, a fleet of stolen Kreks ships appeared. They were crewed entirely by freed clones. Because they flew Kreks vessels, the Imperium's automated defenses recognized them as friendly. "The clone ships are through their outer defenses," reported the tactical officer. "They're targeting the command vessels." Chaos spread through the Kreks fleet as they realized enemies were among them. Ships fired on each other, unsure which were friends and which were foes. "Now it's our turn," Jinwu said. "All ships, push forward." The human fleet struck hard, targeting key defensive positions. As the space battle raged, the smaller primal dropships slipped through the confusion. They streaked toward the planet's surface, carrying Captain Yunho and his primal forces. The dropships landed near the Kreks' capital city. The primal soldiers emerged, their eyes glowing with amber light. There were only 200 of them against thousands of Kreks' elite guards. But the primals didn't hesitate. Yunho led the charge. The Kreks had never faced anything like these warriors. The primals moved like shadows, scaling walls, leaping impossible distances. They coordinated without words, functioning as a perfect hunting pack. The palace. Yun-ho told his soldiers, "That's our target." The Krek's supreme leader watched the battle from his fortress. Reports came in of human ships breaking through the fleet, of clone rebels causing chaos, of strange human warriors tearing through his best troops. "How is this possible?" he demanded. "We are the Kreks. We have ruled this sector for 1,000 years." His military commander had no answer. The screen showed primal soldiers approaching the palace. "We must evacuate you to safety," the commander urged. But it was too late. The palace defenses fell. Yun-ho and his primals stormed the command center. The supreme leader found himself facing the human captain, whose amber eyes seemed to look through him. "Surrender," Yun-ho said simply. "End this war." The supreme leader had no choice. The Krek's Imperium surrendered. 3 months later, Ambassador Tadawun stood before the Galactic Assembly again. This time, he was welcomed with respect. "The war is over," he told the assembled species. "The Krek's Imperium has been dissolved. Their former territories are now independent worlds." "And what of the clones?" asked the assembly leader. "They have been recognized as a sovereign people," Tadawun explained. "Hyun leads them now. They have established colony worlds where they can build their own society." "And the primals?" asked the elder who had proposed the compromise. "These dangerous warriors you created." Tadawun's face showed sadness. "Some have returned to normal. Dr. Seojin found a way to reverse the process for those who wish it. But others," he paused, "others cannot fully return to what they were. Captain Yun-ho and about 50 others have established a sanctuary on a remote world. There, they can live with the primal nature they awakened." The assembly debated long hours about the future. In the end, they agreed to form a new coalition, with humans playing a major role. Earth would share its technology but accept limits on its military expansion. The freed clones would have their own voice in galactic affairs. As Tadawun prepared to return to Earth, he met with Hyun one last time. "Was it worth it?" Hyun asked. "We won, but at what cost? Humans awakened something dangerous within themselves." "We awakened what was always there," Tadawun replied. "The primal survivor that helped us thrive on a death world. We just need to remember that being human means balancing that primal nature with compassion and wisdom."